Welcome, friends. This is a Back to Basics video where we're going to be focusing on core strength. So what is our core? For the purposes of this video, we'll say that our core is our torso, anything that's not our legs, arms, or head. And even though we're focusing on core strength, it doesn't mean that we won't be using the strength in our legs and arms because everything is connected. And that's what's important to remember. So have a block handy if you can, and we'll start on our backs with your knees bent, feet on the floor. Let your back rest and just take some time to focus on your breath, clear your mind, and find a place of deep relaxation. It's always a good idea to start out relaxed. Press your belly towards your spine to engage your core, and lift your shoulders up off the floor with your arms forward. And do little gentle pulses up on the exhale. So going a little bit higher on every exhale, keeping your core engaged, keeping your low back flat. And then relax, take a little break, a little breather, and we'll do it again. So lift the arms, lift your shoulders, and on every exhale, do a little pulse, trying to bring the shoulders a little bit higher. Really trying to feel the deeper core muscles working, the abs working, the transverse abdominis working. So the transverse abdominis is one of your deeper core muscles, and it's almost like a corset around the midsection of your body. And it's really important to get this muscle activated and not just let the rectus abdominis do all the work. So we'll do that one more time. Keep pressing your belly toward the floor. Reach your arms up over your shoulders. Lift your torso up and little pulses up. So the arms, with the arms lifted more upright, it should be a little more challenging. The movements aren't going to be very big, and let yourself relax. Feel your breath, feel your belly move with the breath. And let yourself rest here for a few breaths. And then grab your block or a book. Place a block or a book or anything between your legs, something that you can squeeze into. Keep your belly pressing towards your spine. And then we're going to work the obliques. So twist your legs over to the right and lower them maybe a third of the way down. And then inhale to center and exhale, twist to the left. So keep squeezing the block and twisting from side to side. The further you bring your calves away from your thighs, from your hamstrings, the more challenging this will be. So when we have weight further away from our body, it challenges our core more. So you decide how straight-ish you want to make your legs. But let's do it in increments. So don't go right from bent knees to straight legs. We're just going to go a little bit straighter. That feels good for you and you don't have any back pain. We're going to hold here and squeeze, then come back to center. If you want to try straighten your legs, go for it. And just lower as enough so that you can keep your opposite shoulder on the ground. And feel the challenge of keeping your legs a little straighter, your feet further away from your body. And then twist over to the left. Squeeze that block. That'll help you to engage your core a little bit more. And squeezing the block is a great way to feel like you're hugging the midline. So now remove the block, place it out of the way for now, hug your knees into your chest, gently rock around on your hips. Give your back a little massage. And take your block again. This time place the block between your feet. So the inside edges of your feet are against the long edge of the block. Keep your belly pressing towards your spine. And start to slowly lower your legs a little closer to the ground. If your low back starts to pop up, then don't go any further and back off a little bit. The closer your legs get to the ground, the harder this will be. So you can keep working on this and add your own degree of difficulty as your core gets stronger. But it's so important not to sacrifice your low back just trying to do the exercise or do the pose. So come on back up onto your hands and knees in tabletop. Place your hips over your knees, your shoulders over your wrists, and begin to circle your body around your wrists, feeling the weight shift in your hands. Reverse the direction of your circle. And then rotate your fingers towards your knees. Just stretch out the wrists, stretch out the fingers. Rock forward and back. And you can always bring your knees and your hands closer to each other if it feels like too much of a stretch. Now flip your hands so your palms are facing up, your thumbs are facing in. And again, gentle rocking back and forth. Shake out the hands. Come back onto your hands and knees. Keep the belly nice and lifted and the ribs in. So you're engaging your core. And go back and forth between a little cat-cow motions to find your neutral spine. And keeping the belly lifted, the ribs in, stretch your right leg out. And lift your right leg up into resistance so that you don't have a big arch in your back and you're lifting your leg up to where it feels like it's not going to go up any higher. And then lift your left arm up. And hold this, trying to find a bit of relaxation even as you work your core. And we'll switch sides. So keep the belly and the ribs lifted. Straighten your left leg, reach it up into resistance. You should feel your hamstrings engage and your glutes engage. And reach your right arm up. Hold here. Again, trying to figure out where you can relax. Like the neck and the shoulders are a good place to relax. So now we're going to come down into our forearms. Lower your hips and belly to the floor, coming into a Sphinx pose. And then start to lift your upper back up, your middle back, your hips, coming into forearm plank. Notice my back is pretty straight and my hips are about shoulder height. Now you can always keep your knees on the ground. So my toes are tucked, hips are lifted, ribs are in, gaze is a little bit past the fingers, then lower your hips down, take a little rest here. Forearm plank is a great core exercise. It really works and tones your abs, it works your back muscles, and you need to be using your legs when you're doing these forearm planks. So your legs should be engaging. And if you press into your hands, it'll take a little bit of weight out of your elbows and distribute the weight more along your forearms. So again, puff up into your back, let the hips lift, let your thighs lift, maybe your knees lift. Keep your feet flexed. Pay attention to your breath. Try and breathe as smoothly and evenly as you can. So no holding your breath here. But again, trying to find those places that we can relax. Trying to engage the legs, engage the arms, so that our whole body is working in this plank pose. Good. Lower the hips down. Rest here. It's also a skill to be able to rest in between the places of greater intensity. So can you relax and then come right back into engaging your muscles again and challenging yourself. So you want your elbows to be directly under your shoulders, no wider than shoulder width apart. Lift your hips up again. And if you want to try pointing your toes, go for it. It might be a little more challenging. It will work your quads a little bit more. A little bit less on the hamstrings, a little bit more on the quads. And again, see if you can hold this in stillness and yet feel the little movements, little corrections that you're probably making with your body. Then shift your hips back into child's pose. And again, let yourself rest. It's so important to balance rest with really pushing ourselves, engaging the muscles, And we're always trying to find balance in yoga, whether it's between effort and relaxing, or whether it's between both sides of the body hugging into the midline, or balancing the action of the legs with the arms. So stretch your left leg back and stretch your right leg back. This time we're coming into full plank. So similar actions as what we just did in forearm plank. This works the shoulders a little bit more, and to me it's not quite as challenging as forearm plank. But that's up for you to decide how it feels in your body. Keep those ribs lifting. You don't want to have a sagging back. So if your back arches here, you're probably going to feel uncomfortable and maybe even a little bit painful. And switch back to your down dog, bend one knee at a time. Really keeping your hips back so you get some weight out of your hands and especially out of your wrists. And inhale forward to plank again. You just do little pelvic tilts. So you can feel, we did pelvic tilts in the last video. You can check out Gentle Yoga Flow, Back to Basics, and find just that right tilt of your pelvis. So we're trying to find a neutral position so our back isn't arching or rounding too much. And that can really make the difference of how easy or how difficult it is to do this and how your back is going to feel. So stretch back to down dog, and you can always bend your knees in down dog. Notice how long and straightish my spine, and that's what we're going for in down dog, more than the legs being straight. Then walk your feet forward to your hands, come up high into your tiptoes, lower your heels down. And inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, bow over your legs. Inhale, lift the ribs away from your thighs, coming up halfway, and exhale, bow. On your next inhale, rise all the way up to stand. And exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, bow. Fingers to the earth. Inhale, lift up halfway, lengthening your spine. Exhale, bow. Plant your hands and step back to plank. Lower down to your belly. Come back onto your forearms. And then roll onto your right side, resting your head on your arm, stacking your hips, stacking your feet. Bring your left leg into tree pose. So left foot comes to the inner right thigh. Try and keep the hips stacked so you're not like leaning forward or leaning back. Then press your foot into your thigh and your thigh up into your foot. Flex your foot of your right leg and see if you can reach your left arm over your head. So if your bottom leg is a little bit forward or a little bit back, it will be easier to balance. If your foot and your hip and your shoulders are all in the same line, it'll be a little more challenging. But we're going to do tree pose in a minute standing. So this is a nice way to feel the alignment and feel the engagement of your foot, the equal pressing your foot into your thigh and lifting your thigh up into your foot, creating that just the right amount of tension that can help you to balance. And then we'll switch sides. So come on to your left side, rest your head on your arm. Bend your right knee, bring your foot to your inner thigh. Bring it as close to the top of your leg as you can. And then press down with your foot and up with the thigh of the bottom leg. Reach your right arm over your head so your head is between both arms. Keep your left foot strongly flexed. And then again, just keep trying to find the balance. Depending on your tendencies, like one person might have to focus on pressing the right foot down into the left leg more. The next person might have to focus on pressing the left leg up into the right foot more. You want to find a place where both efforts balance each other out so that you feel stability from the top foot pressing down into your thigh and their thigh lifting up into your foot. Stretch back to downward facing dog. Come up onto your tiptoes, walk your feet forward, keeping your heels high, hips high. Lower your heels down. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, bow. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, hands to your heart. Tree pose. So you can always stand next to a wall if you're, a little bit concerned about your balance. But first, draw your ribs in and bring your right foot up to your left inner thigh. Squeeze your leg and your foot into each other. Try and keep those ribs wrapping in. Core engaged, so belly drawing toward the spine and a little bit of upward lift there. And reach your arms over your head. Or you could keep your hands together in prayer position in front of your heart. It's a little bit easier. And just work on finding a steadiness here. Integrating the core into your tree pose. So not dumping into your hips, but instead hugging into the midline and lifting up out of your hips. You can release your tree pose and we'll switch sides. So bring the weight into your right leg, bring your left foot up to the right inner thigh. Don't try and bring your knee directly out to the side unless you're super, super, super open in your hips, like way more than I am. It's just going to twist your hips. So think of facing your hips forward, your hip bones forward. Let your knee go out to the side without trying to bring it out too wide. Hug the midline with both legs. Reach your arms up or palms together, prayer position. Your choice. And see if you can find that lift up out of your pelvis so that it doesn't feel like you're just hanging into the hip joint. And then we'll come into a squat, malasana. So you can open your feet apart, turn the toes out, lower your hips. Try and keep your shoulders back instead of rounding your chest forward, but that's all going to depend on where you are with your squat. And now we're going to come on to our back. So to work the core, you can round your spine and lower as slowly as possible. The closer you get to the ground, the harder it's going to be. And right about here, you want to really try and flatten your low back, really curl the back. Slowly roll all the way down until the shoulders, back of the shoulders touch the floor. Open your arms out to the side and bring your feet as wide as your mat and begin to slowly windshield wiper your knees side to side. Then you can stay over on your right side and stretch your left knee forward a little bit more towards that bottom right corner of your mat. And then same thing other side. So the top leg is you're gonna stretch that knee forward towards the opposite corner of your mat. And that'll help to stretch out the quads a little bit. And we can do that one more time, both sides. Or 2 more times, both sides. Or as many times as you want. It's your practice. And hug your knees into your chest again. Rock around on those hips. Give yourself a little massage in your back body. Then hug your knees into your chest. Lift your shoulders up. And stretch your arms and legs out for Savasana. Just let your belly relax now. Let your whole body relax. And you can play with different positions of your arms. Your arms could be out to the side in a V shape, so a little bit closer to your body, or straight out from your shoulders in a T shape, or in cactus arms. The idea here is just to let everything relax. And notice the sensations in your body. Notice if there's been a shift from working on the core, really working the whole body, but doing some poses that force you to work on your core a little bit more, like the planks are really good ones in my opinion. So you can stay in Savasana as long as you like. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, share it with your friends, and leave a comment. I would really, really, really love to hear from you. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.